What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I'm back to you guys with another video. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how good will the Florida Gators offense be this upcoming college football season, because there are a lot of people who have question marks concerning how productive this offense is going to be, and rightfully so, because last year Florida had one of the best offenses in all of college football. You had Kyle Trask, who was a Heisman finalist. You had wide receivers Trayvon Grimes, Kadarius Toney, and tight end Kyle Pitts, and you lost all of those guys to the NFL. On top of that, you also lost offensive tackle Stone Forsythe. So a lot of people are going to be wondering, who's going to be the next group of guys to step up and replace that talented cast that you had last year? Now, the passing attack is probably the biggest concern that everybody has, because Kyle Trask was a really good quarterback. Nobody needs to explain why. He was a Heisman finalist. This guy was a really good pocket passer. He was really accurate. He made good decisions with the football, and he's going to be replaced by Emory Jones. Now, I already made a video about how good I feel Emory Jones will be this year. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure that you guys go ahead and check that out, then come back to this video. But I've been waiting ever since I was a 10th grader in high school to see Emory Jones finally get his opportunity to start at quarterback for the University of Florida. I'm now a sophomore in college, and I'm now about to finally have my dreams come true, because I'm really high on Emory Jones. I watched a lot of him when he was coming out of high school, and I feel like he is the perfect fit for what Dan Mullen wants out of the quarterback position in his offense. Now, obviously, we don't know how good of a passer he actually is, because we have a limited sample size of Emory Jones. The most we've seen out of Emory Jones on tape was in Florida's bowl game loss against Oklahoma a couple of months back. That's pretty much the most playing time we've seen Emory Jones receive, so we don't really have a lot to go off when it comes to assessing Emory Jones' ability as a passer. On top of that, Florida hasn't even had a spring game, and the majority of their spring practices were closed. So I don't really know just how effective of a passer Emory Jones is. He does have a good arm. I think he has a better arm than Kyle Trask, but we don't know how accurate he is, how good of a decision maker he is. But one thing is for sure, that this guy is definitely an incredible athlete. He's a way better athlete than what Kyle Trask was. And no offense to Kyle Trask, but with Emory Jones at quarterback, you can do a lot of things when it comes to the run game. You can run design QB runs, read options. You also can run the RPOs. Like, the playbook is going to be wide open in terms of how Dan Mullen is going to be able to call plays this year. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the passing game, aside from Emory Jones, we don't really know how effective of a passer he is. And on top of that, there really isn't a lot of productivity at the wide receiver position. Now, there is talent, and a lot of people get this confused. A lot of people say, well, JT, Florida doesn't have talent. That's not true. Florida recruits very well. They have really good recruiting classes year in and year out. So talent isn't the concern. The concern is the productivity there. You don't have a lot of production there. Aside from Jacob Copeland, who is probably their most productive returning wide receiver who they have. He had 23 receptions for 435 receiving yards and 3 TDs last season. There's not really a lot of production there. Now, you have Justin Shorter, who I feel could have a breakout season. He's 6'4", 6'5", 226 pounds. This guy could end up becoming a very good vertical threat in the pass game for Florida this year. When you look at how good of an arm Emory Jones has, Justin Shorter is going to be able to stretch the field. He's going to be able to catch those 50-50 balls, those contested passes. On top of that, he could be a really good red zone target. So Justin Shorter has all the upside in the world to end up becoming the next breakout star in this passing game for Florida. You also have Xavier Henderson, who is going into his second year with the program. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He was the 68th best player nationally from that 2020 class. You have Rick Wells, who has been in the program forever, it seems like. I think he's a 6-year senior. You have Trent Whitmore there. So talent is there at wide receiver. The question is, who are going to be the guys who are going to be able to step up and carry the torch from how productive of a receiving core Florida had last year. Now, when it comes to the running game, Florida had one of the worst rushing attacks in all of college football. They were 93rd in rushing yards per game. I feel Florida's rushing attack is going to be completely opposite of what it was last year. I think they're going to go from one of the worst ground games in college football to one of the best in college football this year. And like I mentioned earlier, I think a large reason for that is going to be because of what Emory Jones is able to do when he's able to run the football. And on top of that, you're going to have design QB runs. You're going to be running read options. And on top of that, Florida has one of the most talented backfields in all of college football. Miami, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida have four of the best backfields in the nation. So when you look at the talent that Florida has at running back this year, you don't really know who's going to end up starting. Now, I am leaning towards Dameon Pierce, who led the team in rushing last year with 503. He averaged 4.7 yards per attempt. He had 4 touchdowns on 106 attempts. You also have Malik Davis, who was pretty much the all-around, the all-purpose back for Florida. He had 66 carries for 310 rushing yards, 4.7 yards per attempt. He also had 31 receptions for 377 receiving yards. So you have a guy in Malik Davis who also could be in the running for that starting RB1 spot in terms of what he's able to do. Then you have Naquan Wright, who a lot of Florida fans are high on, and Lorenzo Lingard. Now, me being somebody who is a big fan of the Miami Hurricanes, I've seen a lot of Lorenzo Lingard when he was coming out of high school. He didn't really pan out what a lot of people expected him to be when he came to Miami, and Miami was already crowded at that running back position, so Lorenzo Lingard really wasn't able to see the field all that much. So he transferred to Florida last offseason, and we didn't really see a lot of Lorenzo Lingard last year. I'm hoping to see a little bit more of Lorenzo Lingard this year because this guy is really explosive. He has game-changing speed. I think Lorenzo Lingard could be a difference maker for Florida if he's able to find the role on this offense. Now, I don't think a lot of people are giving Dan Mullen the benefit of a doubt because I've seen some people out there say that Florida's going to have an average offense. I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason for that is because I think that Dan Mullen is the second best offensive-minded coach in college football behind Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln Riley, we know how good of an offensive-minded coach he is. He is a guru. But I think Dan Mullen is not too far behind him because I think that Dan Mullen has done better with a way worse offensive situation like he has had in the past at Mississippi State and whatnot. And Mississippi State was pretty good under Dan Mullen, but they didn't bring in the recruiting classes and they didn't have the talent that Dan Mullen has right now. So I think that Dan Mullen definitely has had way worse offensive situations when it came to his offensive personnel than what he's going to have this year. Obviously, the talent is there. You just don't have the production. Now, this offense is going to probably drastically look different than what it was last year. You're probably going to see Florida put way more emphasis on running the football. They couldn't run the football last year. And on top of that, you didn't really need to when you were carving everybody up through the air. Kyle Trask was dishing, man. Like, that guy was looking like CP3 out there at the QB position. So when you look at the ground game, this is probably going to be a top 7, top 10 rushing attack at best. I think at worst it'll probably be like top 20, somewhere around that range. So the ground game is going to be the strength of this offense without a doubt when you factor in Emory Jones' running ability and you factor in how talented of a running back group that Florida has. Now, the offensive line, I don't really know how I feel about it. I think the offensive line could be average and be above average at best because I think there's like a mixed bag when you look at the offensive line. Obviously, you're going to have a concern when it comes to who's going to be replacing offensive tackle Stone Forsythe. I don't think the tackle spots are all that bad. I think guard kind of concerns me because you had some up and down play from the offensive line at times last year. So hopefully you're looking for more consistency out of the offensive line this year, even though the offensive line was not bad last year, but definitely it had some struggles at times. So how good is the offensive line going to be? I think it'll probably be above average at best. So with the run game in there, you're probably going to be more of a ball control team, which means you're probably going to take a lot of time off the clock, even though you're going to be running running no huddle, but naturally if you run the ball more, you're naturally going to take more time off the clock. So you're going to be more of a ball control team. I think this isn't going to be the big explosive play Florida offense that you saw last year when you had all of the big plays from Kadarius Toney making guys miss in the open field. You had Kyle Pitts mossing guys 50 yards downfield. So I think this is probably going to be a more efficient offense. Well, last year's offense was efficient, but I think this is going to be an offense that's going to be more of the move the chains approach, not trying to have all the big plays. I think it's going to be, pick up 4 yards here, 5 yards there, get the third down, convert. I think it's going to be more of, short, methodical pace offense. I don't think we're going to see the big plays that we saw last year. I think this is going to be more of not really a conservative, but I just don't really think the big playability is going to be there this season like it was last year, unless you get big pops in the running game, which they should with the talent that they have. So overall, I think Florida's offense probably takes a step back, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a step back. I still think they'll probably be around top 15, top 20 offensively, just because of how big of an offensive guru Dan Mullen is. And I also have a lot of confidence in Emory Jones this year, and I definitely think that Florida's going to have one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football. So I think Florida's offense still should be really good. Definitely probably won't live up to how good it was last season in 2020, but still should be pretty good overall. So let me know how you guys feel about Florida's offense down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.